guys are investing where you see things in their formative stage. You know, when you see these things over large volumes, you start to really get a different kind of trend view than you might by simply sitting in an ivory tower and having those that work their way through this filter kind of sit in front of you. So appreciate your help in that. Mike Mullaney is the Vice President of Products for Sentia, and we met Mike through speed dating, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about Sentia and the things that you've experienced over the last little while with us.
Great, yeah. So Sentia, we shipped the first HTML5 software development kit for mobile last year, and it rapidly sort of became the most popular way to develop cross-platform HTML5 apps for touch devices. And we were introduced to AT&T as part of the speed dating, and we had our first speed date in June, and immediately we sort of had a meeting in the minds that HTML5 was going to be a really important application platform globally in the next year. And we quickly figured out, okay, well, what can we build together? How can we collaborate? And what impressed me, I think, the most about the engagement was not just the speed of engagement in terms of the fast turnaround for, hey, we like your stuff, here's what we want to do with you, but also the focus on real prototypes and products. So almost from the first week, it was, okay, end of August, show us a prototype. It's got to do this, this, and this. And that was really refreshing because I'm kind of a product guy, so I believe that products are the most important thing you can do. So we had a prototype at the end of August, and we got really fast feedback. We like this, this, and this. We don't like that. You know, have a little bit of a course correction. And what's also great was that we were able to broker access to a lot of different functions inside AT&T, so to get concentrated feedback on our delivery. So over the last fall, we've really been working on HTML5 SDKs and apps with the crew at AT&T, and also focusing on leveraging the open network APIs that you're introducing. So we'll actually have a demo of the first application built, leveraging those network APIs and leveraging our HTML5 SDK at the end of the day at 5:20. So look forward to showing folks what we've done with AT&T.
Well, thanks, Mike. Your distinct capabilities were great for us, but I mean, we appreciate you really as one of the first companies to live through this new process. And it's great to look at it in hindsight and say we met you in June, we had a prototype up in August, and forget all the contracting and so on. It used to take that long to get a meeting, but we also know that this was sausage making, and you were kind of first through to work through some of these issues about contractual and intellectual property ownership and those sorts of things. So you helped us a lot. Thanks for that. And I got to tell you a little story about Sam Ramji, who's the VP of Strategy for Apogee. We met Sam in speed dating, and he showed up in maybe not this pair of jeans and this T-shirt, but he showed up in jeans and a T-shirt. He had sunglasses tipped on his head like this, and he walked in, and there were about 4 or 5 of us at AT&T, and he came in. And before he went into his presentation, which was one of the best presentations to this day I've ever seen, he told us that he doubted we could succeed, that the words were good, but what's required behind the rhetoric would probably not be a transformation we could make. And we were welcome to go to his blog and his white paper that sort of outlines why these kinds of transformations must be done from the outside. And when he left the room, we paused for a minute and we said, did he just say, did he start out by saying we were, dumb, slow, and probably not able to get this done? We all looked and said, that's exactly what he said. So we immediately tried to hire him. That didn't work. that did not work. He didn't believe us yet. But Sam and his company, Apogee, have been ones that have been working very closely with us as well. So Sam, maybe give us a little background on some of the things that we've been working on.
Thanks, John. And that was a fun meeting in June. It's amazing to think that we went from a 20-minute meeting in June. 6 weeks later, we were collaborating with Sentia and other close partners on what's now called the guided track. And we're delivering software by the end of August. So just really surprised me. I've got a big company experience. We at Apogee are the leading provider of API infrastructure, an end-to-end provider in the parlance. And we know that it takes a long time to unlock capabilities. When you think about the openness of the network, right, it's great to have an open network, and as you need to make changes, you want reliability. That reliability is achieved through years and years of layers and layers and layers of technology. And those layers represent robustness on one side of the coin, and also resistance to change on the other. So I guess I've been shocked in seeing a first-person perspective over the last 6 months at how AT&T has aggressively moved to make things aggressively simpler for developers. That's transformative because instead of going for thousands of developers, I think the new platform is available to millions of developers. As we were just hearing from Sentia, HTML5 is transformative in being able to give you native-like capabilities. Again, the flip side of the coin of HTML5 is, how do you get that data? It's through simple HTTP APIs that any developer who can use JavaScript and HTML to write an app can now get at these incredibly complex capabilities. Billing on behalf of, call data records, friends and family information, just an amazing and opening set of content to bring new experiences to the environment. So I think between the fast track that we've seen in terms of embracing innovation, between being able to make the right changes to the network at a really shocking pace, and then finally paying attention to developer needs. Developers don't just need open APIs and a platform. They need a business model. So being able to do billing through the AT&T network, to be able to piggyback on all of that trust and all of those complex enterprise systems to take care of all those kinds of adjustments, that's amazing. And so as a lifelong developer, that gets me excited about the opportunity for millions to now start looking at AT&T's network of 80 million subscribers as being an amazing install base to be able to go out and put great applications in front of and make money to fund their businesses.
Thanks. So these are some of the faces behind the announcements that David made this morning, and there are many other companies we've engaged with, but the process of getting access to these kinds of companies is, for us, has been great as well. So, Matt, I wanted to ask you a question. If you looked at this morning and what Ralph and David talked about, and reinforced in a couple of the comments that I made, how do you see the next 12 to 18 months playing out in how you view the world with the capabilities like companioning the television with the pads and the mobile devices?
Yeah, I think one of the great things is that, as I said before, I think everybody wants to consume all their content on any screen possible wherever they are. So a lot of what you're doing today, both with your partners and your own capabilities, you're doing, and that's terrific. We're beyond a tipping point right now where consumers are doing things we never would have imagined, but it can only be possible for them not only to make money with things like billing integration, but with location, with access to other devices that support similar applications. So if it's social and sharing, that all those things can proliferate across a broad economy and ecosystem. But again, a lot of this wouldn't be possible, and I'm going to reiterate what these guys have said, which is I remember when I came in and talked to you about the Uverse thing, and you guys were proactively pushing, like, hey, you've got to have a company. So you guys are out actually hunting, trying to find innovation, find companies, and say, no, I want to light this up in 4 to 6 weeks. Whereas before, we always felt we were out there kind of pushing a rope. Will you consider this? How do we make it work? And that's been a huge change that I'm really encouraged about.
In this environment, Matt, it seems to me like you used to be able to get a company and a service in the same under the same roof.
Right.
Now you have to put 6 or 8 together in the new app economy. Infrastructure companies, like Sam's, and finished services companies, and toolkits and frameworks. It's like a Lego game.
Exactly. And it only works by having a set of clean APIs where everyone can operate together. And that's what's new and evolving even better now than it was even a few months ago.
So Sam, the question I have for you is, you guys were very vocal early on, glasses on your head, in what things we needed to bring out. What do you view? A year ago, all we heard is we want carrier billing, and then a lot of folks say we need to monetize the enterprise piece, and that's not easy. What do you see as some of the things that we ought to be considering going forward more heavily on our roadmap to make available to this crowd to be able to go out and work on?
I think the 2 things that stand out really strongly are, number one, enterprise adoption of mobile applications. The announcement with IBM, I think, is a really big one. We're close partners with IBM, and we've seen their cloud and API strategy evolve. Developers need to be able to copy those consumer-driven experiences, the satisfaction of having a purposive, small, right-sized app on their phone. and they want to be able to check their incoming leads. They want to be able to access workflow. They want to be able to do the right things there. So as the consumerization of IT continues to flow through, mobile apps into the enterprise, I think that's enormous. Much higher requirements for security. So I think there's the right groundwork has been laid there. What's next is going to be frameworks. What are the frameworks that make that development easy? How do you make integration with those back-end systems? I think the second piece is how do you get access to more AT&T content? There's a wealth of video, of knowledge of customer behavior, understanding how decades and decades of friends and family behavior have occurred. How can that be accessed in a secure way that allows applications to really richly mediate a user's experience, an AT&T subscriber's experience that gives them an app that they want to pay for and really makes them value their AT&T service even more fully.
Good. That's helpful. Mike, I wanted to get a view from you as we think about square pegs and round holes, which is a little bit of what we kind of described this transformation this morning. How do you think about the business model and distribution model? Because in many respects, what you're doing is empowering and enabling for us, but it isn't the old model of, here's a service that you guys are going to power and we're going to pay you X for a license, or we're going to do a rev share. It's really a more complex business model. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I think we're still working through a little bit of that. We have a traditional open source business model where we have a dual license SDK, and then people can take training or support or other services on top of that. I think for developers, what developers are moving to, particularly in the HTML5 space, is that the idea of buying their applications up front is sort of going away, and the model is moving towards either in-app advertising or in-app purchases as the way that they make money. And I think that the trend is also towards smaller applications. And I think one of the great things that will attract people and developers to the AT&T platform is that often authentication systems and billing systems are the things you really don't want to have to deal with as a developer. You just want to build your game or build your micro app. And being able to leverage AT&T for that, I think, is a huge advantage. I think the other thing that's going to change is that I think there's a new class of applications oriented around families that you can build with the AT&T network that you've never been able to build before, even with Facebook, because AT&T has the real family data, unlike anyone else, which is very exciting.
It's a good point where previously it seemed like business model would often get in the way of trying to figure out who's going to make what money to get something to market. And I think, again, in terms of philosophy changes, let's just get the best possible applications out there. And application companies will figure out how to make money. AT&T will figure out how to make money. Let's not necessarily solve that up front. That's too much friction. Let's just get the best stuff out there.
There's sort of an open transformation occurring on the web, right? So just use Facebook as the example. What made it powerful was the fact that we've seen evolution that's gotten very fast in the last couple of years, going from sites to services. You don't expect that Facebook is just a website you go to. You expect first-party and third-party apps, to Matt's point, on every device that might be in your pocket. I think AT&T gets this, moving from just focusing on sites, but opening up AT&T's capabilities as a whole range of services that can be bound to by various applications. I think that's gonna make a big difference, because then you can start to bring those in along with a Facebook service, along with a Twitter API or Foursquare or whatever kinds of APIs you want to bring in, and create a single robust application that knows a ton about you but does so securely and privately.
Great. Well, we're out of time here. I wanted to thank you folks, and it's always nice to depressure a presentation by bringing up faces that have lived through this. And all three of you have been great partners during a period where we went from listen and learn to try to build, and I think you've helped us calibrate it. And so I want to highlight the fact that you guys have been great, and we're big fans. We want to continue to do this stuff. But also there are a number of other companies out there and lots more opportunity for us going forward. So we'll continue to learn and adapt, and I appreciate you folks coming up here today. So thanks, everybody.